Hi guys, my name's Rich Keeble and I lead Epic Dad, a fathers and families project based in Suffolk. And thank you so much to the guys at Who Let the Dads Out for asking me to share a few thoughts with you today for Congress 3. And I hope you find it helpful and inspiring. I'm going to be talking about the importance of community engagement and also fatherhood support. And to start with, let me introduce myself a bit more and the work I do. Epic Dad started about 4 years ago with a vision to restore the role of fathers. And we registered after a year as a community interest company, which is like a charity, like a business. Really, we exist to make dads a priority and reach out to them in Suffolk and beyond. Our three main aims are supporting men, empowering fathers, and transforming families. We have a centre to do a lot of our activities called the Epic Centre. We also have an Epic Dad van when I'm out making deliveries, giving out baby packs, toys, games, just items to support families. And some of the other things we do are wellbeing walks for fathers, dads and children's clubs, parenting courses, social evenings for dads, and just trying all kinds of stuff really just to engage with fathers, let them know they're important, they're not forgotten, and we want to help them in whatever way we can. And something I've learned over the years is how important it is to engage with the wider community. So I want to talk about community engagement. And just to help us, I'd like to read from Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 to 16. Matthew 5:13 to 16. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Some great verses there to encourage us to be people of influence. We are children of God. We are children of the kingdom. And our work here on the earth isn't to keep what we've got to ourselves. Like salt in a salt shaker, it's never going to bring flavor to a meal if it stays in the salt shaker. We've got to sprinkle it over the meal to bring out the flavor, to add to the flavor, to change the taste for the better. And just as we, as the church, as God's people, with the ministries we're involved in, Who Let the Dads Out, if we want to have influence, we can't just keep what we have and contain it in the salt shaker, as it were. We've got to shake it over the meal. We've got to be people of influence that get involved in our community. Let people know we're there. We want to bring flavor. We want to bring the kingdom of God. And, God's kingdom is all about love and grace and power and goodness and life. And, we want to bring what God is all about to the people around us. It's not all about them coming to us and what we're doing, but it's about us reaching out, going to them, serving, building relationships, being present in our community. And I've just got a really simple kind of yet powerful strategy in how you, through your Who Let the Dads Out group and through your local church and just you personally, how can you get more involved? And I think sometimes we overcomplicate things, we overthink them, but there's a really simple strategy I want to share with you to develop your community engagement. Simply this: find out what's happening in your community, find out where people are, what they're doing, because there's already some great stuff happening out there, particularly amongst families and with our heart for fathers and families. Let's go to those people, go to those groups and simply introduce ourselves and say who we are, where we're based and what we're doing, and get across your heart and passion and vision to help fathers. Then ask the simple question: is there anything we can do to support you in the work you're doing? It's not all about people coming to our stuff, but just make yourself available. Just humbly be a servant to your community and say, what do you need? How can we help? How can we support your groups, your events? How can we work together? Show your willingness to get involved. Because do you know what? We bring something of the kingdom of God into other spheres of influence, to other contexts, because we are salt and light. And God doesn't want us to keep our salt in the salt shaker. He doesn't want to keep our light under a bowl. He wants us to bring the flavor. He wants us to shine bright. And we can't do that by staying in our comfort zone. We've got to get out, introduce yourself, show who you are, what you're about, what you're already doing, but also ask questions, tell me about what you're doing, tell me what the needs are, how can we work together, and just put yourself there in the heart of the community. I love it what it says about Jesus in the Gospel of John in the first chapter. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling amongst us. God didn't wait for us to get to him, but he came down to us, lived amongst us through his son Jesus, so we could be drawn back to God and know him as our Father. So we need to be present in our community, engaged, show interest, show our servant heart. We're not coming to say we've got all the answers. We're coming to say we're here, we're available. What can we do to help? And you'll be amazed at the openness and the things that may grow out of that. And then before you know it, you're not just supporting groups and activities others are doing, but they'll be more inclined to support things that you're doing and sending dads your way, because you're building up that reputation and those relationships. They know there's trust there, and they see that you're on the front line and making dads a priority. And there's so many different groups and organizations you can connect with, like your local councillors, the local council, social services, there's schools, nurseries, libraries, children's centres, maternity services, also other family support, charities working in the area. And just get involved in these conversations in partnership working, because you are bringing Jesus into those contexts. We're not going to preach at people, but we're going to have a godly influence through our love, our grace, our care, our commitment to fathers, because that's what the kingdom's all about, being committed to our communities and seeking to make a difference. So as well as community engagement, we need to kind of think about fatherhood support. And a verse that's really meant a lot to me over the years is from Matthew chapter 3, and it's verses 16 and 17. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." And this is the heart of the Father, honoring his Son, Jesus, and speaking words of life and favor for who he is and how precious he is to the Father. And you know what the Father spoke over his Son, Jesus. Now us as children of God, through our faith in Jesus, God speaks over us these words of acceptance. This is my Son. Words of affirmation, in whom I love. And with him I'm well pleased. Words of approval. And something I've learned with the fathers that I'm working with in the community, they really desperately need that sense of acceptance, affirmation, and approval. Who fathers the fathers? Many dads expected to be good dads themselves, and perhaps they've never really been fathered themselves. So they don't really know how to be a good dad. They've not had it modeled to them. But we can help them. We can show them the Father heart of God through our care, our concern. And through this recent pandemic, what's really been clear is we don't just need to offer parenting support, but there's also that need for well-being support. One of the things I've been involved with the dads that have already taken off is simply well-being walks, just meeting up with them one-to-one, going for a walk, getting some fresh air, enjoying the countryside, getting a bit of exercise. And as we walk side by side, it seems as we're on a journey together, they feel more at ease to open up and share things that are going on in their life, and just to be that listening ear and just to speak words of encouragement. Let them know that there's acceptance, there's affirmation, there's approval, and we represent God as we do this to bless the fathers and families in our community. So this verse has really helped me as I approach this ministry, and I hope it kind of helps you too. And what's been really amazing, because of the relationships we built with other agencies in the community, more and more, especially over this last year, they've been sending dads our way and referring dads to our service, that we can kind of chat with them, go through parenting courses, just talk about their well-being, just to add strength to them, add courage to them. Really, that's what encouragement's about. Adding courage, giving that reassurance that the dads aren't on their own. And we all get it wrong sometimes. And I say to them, there will be some epic fails along the way, because none of us are perfect, but there will also be many epic wins. And as long as the epic wins outweigh the epic fails, they're going to be all right. And so with their children. And you may have noticed that the letters of EPIC stand for encourager, provider, instructor, carer. That's true for a mum as well, but it's something we really want to highlight in dads and male carers, to celebrate what they bring to families and communities, to really instill in them this sense of you can be that encourager, provider, instructor, and carer your children need. But the better we support them, then the better support they can give to their children. So fatherhood support is so important. As much as I love dads in children's clubs and family events, I've really learnt the value, almost the more low-key work of one-to-one or small groups or even social evenings, just to build those relationships with the dads, to be that listening ear, let them know they're not on their own. Who fathers the fathers? We need God to father us, and may God help us to show that father heart to the dads that we're working with. And it's great to see others get behind this work when they see the impact it's having. I remember many years ago when I used to work with fathers in Portsmouth, having a conversation with a dad once. He hadn't seen his own dad hardly at all growing up. And one day his dad came to visit him and met his wife and children. And when I was talking to the dad about the day that he had with his dad, he reflected that this was the greatest day of his life. He said, we went to the local pool club and we played pool, snooker, for 5 hours. We barely spoke in that time. We just got drinks, we just played, and we had 5 hours non-stop pool, snooker. And with tears in his eyes, he said, that was the greatest day of my life. And he said also, I heard the greatest thing ever from my dad when he said that he was pleased for me when he met my family. And to me, that shows the power of a father's presence and a father's words. If one day can have that much of an impact, think how much impact we, if we're dads, can have, and the dads we work with can have, if they are fully engaged in being there for their kids, to be present and to speak words that bring that acceptance, that affirmation and approval. Our kids need our presence. They need our words. So let's help dads to bring that to their children as we engage with them. So I hope this has been helpful today, and hopefully there'll be space to ask any questions. But I just want to encourage you guys. You're doing a great work for the fathers, and it's just the beginning. Through the pandemic, let's not see that things have stopped or slowed down. I pray that there'll be fresh momentum and fresh ideas. We think outside the box, new ways that we can get involved in our community, new ways we can work with others, new ways we can engage with dads and make a difference. And because people are talking about dads more and more when they talk about family support, so we can be in on that conversation and show that we're responding to that need and getting across the message that fathers matter too. So God bless you. Let's all be epic. Let's do what we can to help fathers, because that is very much on the heart of our Father. Thanks for listening. God bless.